Long before Idaho became highways, farms, and quiet towns, it was a land of long trails, hidden canyons, and men who carried fortunes behind them and buried secrets ahead of them. Wagons creaked through lava country and pine forest. Freight trains hauled ore worth more than a lifetime's wages, and in lonely places where no one was watching, gold vanished into caves, creek banks, and the frozen dark. Some of these treasures were hidden in panic, others in greed, and a few were lost simply because time, wilderness, and bad luck erased the last clue. Today we're heading into those forgotten places: old freighting routes, outlaw hideouts, immigrant camps, and shadowed caverns, where Idaho's lost gold is still said to wait. These are not the well-worn legends everyone knows, but the quieter stories, drawn from court records, old newspapers, and first-hand accounts. Cash is never recovered, mines never found again, and fortunes buried so well that even the men who hid them couldn't reclaim them. This is Idaho's hidden gold, and the stories that refuse to stay buried. In 1965, the magazine Golden West published a 10-page booklet listing 20 reputed treasure sites scattered across Idaho. Among them was a curious and long-forgotten tale rooted in the early mining days of southeastern Idaho. According to surviving records, a wagon load of exceptionally rich gold ore is believed to be hidden in a cave somewhere along the old freighting route between Arco, in what is now Butte County, and Blackfoot in Bingham County. Each bag of ore was said to be worth as much as $2,000, a believable claim, given that some of Idaho's richest early mining districts lay in nearby Custer and Lemhi counties, and that their ore was routinely hauled to Blackfoot for processing. The story begins in 1865, when a freighter set out along this route with 6 wagon loads of gold ore. Evidence later suggested that during the journey, he deliberately overturned one of the wagons and concealed its contents. At the time, ore was commonly moved by pack trains or wagons under contract by men who made their living hauling valuable cargo across long and lonely stretches of trail. When the freighter reached Blackfoot, he reported that his horses had bolted, scattering the missing load of ore for miles along the road. The mine owner, unconvinced, followed the wagon tracks himself and quickly concluded that the story was false. He accused the freighter of theft and had him arrested. A lengthy trial followed. During the proceedings, the mine owner testified that he believed the ore had been deliberately hidden in one of the many small caves lining the route between Arco and Blackfoot. Despite his suspicions, he was unable to produce proof. With no hard evidence, the jury acquitted the freighter. For years afterward, the man was closely watched. He was often seen walking the old trail where the ore was believed to have been concealed, yet it appears he never recovered it. He eventually died penniless in northern Idaho, taking whatever knowledge he possessed to the grave. Old Blackfoot newspapers from the 1860s may still hold references to the case, and court records from the trial could yet exist. Though the original sacks of ore would long ago have rotted away, the gold itself would remain. For a determined treasure hunter, the forgotten court documents and the caves along the old freighting route may still offer one last chance at uncovering this lost Idaho hoard. Throughout the American West, few treasure legends have caused more confusion than the stories tied to a simple blue bucket. Over time, 2 entirely separate tales, born hundreds of miles apart, have been blurred together, retold as one, and mistakenly treated as the same mystery. In reality, they are distinct legends, linked only by name, frontier hardship, and lost gold. One belongs to Oregon and centers on the famous Lost Blue Bucket Mine, a story so often repeated that it has become part of Western folklore, widely publicized and supported by early accounts. The other, far less known, unfolds quietly in the rugged backcountry of Idaho, where a single buried container of gold vanished during the violent uncertainty of pioneer days. To understand either legend properly, the two must be separated. What follows are the true outlines of both stories, one well known, the other nearly forgotten, each rooted in fear, flight, and a treasure that was never recovered. In 1888, in the wilderness north of the Priest River and roughly 3 miles below Priest Lake, a prospector named Zachariah "Zach" Stoneman met with sudden disaster while hauling gold from a secret mine known only to him. 3 mules carrying heavy loads of high-grade ore collapsed, and died after grazing on poisonous weeds along the trail. With no way to move the full load, Stoneman buried nearly all of the gold on the spot, taking with him only what he could carry on his back to the mining town of Coeur d'Alene. To ensure he could find the cash again, he made a grim decision. The dead mules were left where they fell, their bodies intended to serve as unmistakable markers. When Stoneman arrived in Coeur d'Alene, the gold he carried caused a sensation even in a town accustomed to wealth from the ground. Among his samples were chunks of gold nearly the size of a man's fist. Flush with success, Stoneman spent his first night drinking and remained drunk for nearly a week. At last, he hired partners, purchased new mules, and returned to recover the buried treasure. Confident, he assured his companions there would be no trouble finding the spot. The mules, he said, would still be there. They were not. Wild animals had stripped the carcasses to bone and scattered the remains across several acres of forest. Without the bodies to guide him, and with the cash carefully concealed, Stoneman was unable to locate the gold. He made 2 more attempts in the years that followed, each ending in failure. Eventually, he abandoned the search and returned to working his secret mine. As far as anyone knows, 3 mule loads of rich gold ore still lie hidden somewhere in that rugged country, waiting for a patient and determined treasure hunter to stumble upon what Stoneman could not reclaim. The following account is drawn from the book Trail to California, author unknown, and points to a lesser-known concentration of buried valuables along one of the great overland routes of the West. While traveling through what is now Cassia County, Idaho, the writer describes a campsite at the mouth of Cache Creek, a tributary of the Snake River. The name itself, cache, a French word meaning to hide, was no accident. According to the account, emigrants and traders bound for both Oregon and California repeatedly buried goods and valuables in the area, either to lighten their loads or to protect their property during dangerous stretches of the journey. As the author noted at the time, we camped at the mouth of Cache, French word meaning Hide Creek, in Cassia County today, a tributary of the Snake River. The emigrants and traders, both to Oregon and California, having had or buried a large amount of goods, different valuables upon it. There is supposed to be a vast amount lying here at this time which has been buried for years and years. The existence of these hidden caches is not mentioned in this source alone. Similar references appear in Wake of the Prairie Schooner by Richard Payton, further suggesting that Cache Creek was widely known among travelers as a place where valuables were concealed, and in many cases, never recovered. If these early accounts are accurate, the ground near the mouth of Cache Creek may still conceal forgotten property left behind by generations of emigrants, silent remnants of hurried decisions made along the long road west. For those willing to dig deeper into Idaho's cache legends, one of the most intriguing general areas lies at the Shoshone Ice Caves. Over the years, at least 6 stories have circulated about hidden treasure concealed in and around these lava caverns. 2 of the most persistent are worth special mention. The first dates to 1895. At that time, a gang of robbers had accumulated a hoard valued at roughly $75,000 and was preparing to leave the country. By then, however, the group had drawn the attention of local authorities. A sheriff devised a trap using a decoy wagon supposedly hauling treasure from the Lemhi diggings. The bait proved irresistible. The gang attempted one final robbery, but the ambush went disastrously wrong. All of the robbers were killed except one, who fled the country and was never heard from again. It was widely believed that the gang had hidden their $75,000 hoard somewhere within the Shoshone Ice Caves before making their escape. The second tale involves a smaller but equally tantalizing cache. According to the story, a shipment of gold bars was stolen from a freight wagon traveling south from the northern Lemhi mines. The thief had posed as a hired helper, earning his way from the mines to the town of Shoshone, then known as Rattlesnake Gulch. At some point along the route, he killed the driver. 3 passengers who had been riding in the wagon were forced to throw the gold ingots onto the ground. The robber packed the bars into a canvas knapsack, loaded them onto a pack horse, and disappeared. The crime was quickly reported, and the outlaw was trailed by the sheriff. He managed to escape into Montana, where he was later arrested for an unrelated crime and sentenced to a long term in prison. While serving his sentence, The man became gravely ill. Believing he was near death, he confided in a friendly guard, revealing that he had hidden the stolen gold in a crevice within the Shoshone Ice Caves. Years passed before the guard was able to act on the information. Eventually, he traveled to Idaho and hired a local man with a buggy to take him out to the caves. Leaving the driver with the team some distance from the entrance, the guard went inside alone to search. According to the account, he found the treasure. But before he could return to claim it, the excitement proved too much. He collapsed near the cave's mouth and died without revealing the exact location of the cache. If the story is true, that treasure, along with the earlier robber's hoard, may still lie hidden somewhere within the cold, shadowed passages of the Shoshone Ice Caves, waiting for someone patient enough and fortunate enough to find it. For those interested in lost mines and overlooked mineral finds, an especially noteworthy article appeared in the January 1968 issue of The Treasure Hunter. Titled, "The Canyon with the Golden Floor," the piece drew attention to a little-known corner of Idaho whose value may have been underestimated for decades. Although Idaho is not widely associated with gemstones, verified discoveries suggest otherwise. In 1910, a pocket of rich gold ore was uncovered near the banks of Goose Creek. A mining operation soon followed, driving a long shaft into the mountainside. Despite considerable effort, the work failed to uncover additional gold of consequence. The venture was not entirely fruitless. During testing of nearby gravel beds, miners discovered 3 diamonds. The largest weighed approximately 1/3 of a carat and was described as being of excellent quality, an unexpected find in a region seldom associated with such stones. In the years since, the area has continued to produce a surprising variety of gems. Aquamarine, ruby, amethyst, topaz, garnet, and other semi-precious stones have all been recovered from the site, suggesting that the original gold discovery may have overshadowed a far broader mineral potential. Another location worthy of attention lies in Ada County, where enough glacial diamonds have been found to earn the area the name Diamond Basin. Though never developed into a major mining district, the repeated discovery of diamonds there indicates that Idaho's hidden wealth may extend well beyond gold alone. The following cache was described to me by Frank Fish, a well-known treasure hunter with whom I corresponded for several years prior to his death. When most researchers study the robberies attributed to the Henry Plummer Gang, their attention naturally turns to Montana. Far fewer realize that the gang's activities also extended into Idaho. In 1863, 4 members of the group robbed a stagecoach carrying approximately $25,000 near the town of Spencer, in what was then Clark County. The site of the robbery, located in Beaver Creek Canyon, became known as Holdup Rock. Unbeknownst to the outlaws, a posse had been quietly trailing the stage. After the robbery, the posse followed the bandits' trail and soon caught up with 3 of the 4 men. One was shot on the spot. The other 2 were hanged almost immediately after insisting they had not hidden the stolen gold. The 4th outlaw, who had been carrying the money, managed to escape, at least briefly. Several miles from the robbery site, his horse went lame, forcing him to hide among the rocks. The posse eventually found him there. Under questioning, the man claimed he had hidden the gold roughly 100 yards east of a Y-shaped junction in the railroad tracks in Beaver Canyon. Enraged and suspicious, several members of the posse refused to believe him. Before he could lead them to the cache, he too was hanged. If his statement was truthful, the gold was never recovered. An old railroad map showing the Y in the tracks near Spencer may still provide the key. According to the story, the search should begin approximately 100 yards east of that point, where a desperate outlaw may have buried a fortune that remains untouched to this day.